Hi, it's Robin again. Today I'm doing a thing called freeCodeCamp, and they have a daily challenge, and I thought I would try to figure out how these work. So, if you go to freecodecamp.org, they've been around for I don't know how many years. They do a lot of YouTube channel or YouTube videos about how to do coding in various languages and various technologies. But I found out from something I was watching the other day that they have a daily coding challenge. So I'm going to try these out. So if you go to their website, freecodecamp.org, you can build your skills for free. They have a login where you can set up your own account and track your progress. I've already logged in, but if you go get started, it's free. And it says, Welcome back, Robin Blair. And if you're any good at all, you know you can be better by Lindsay Buckingham. Anyway, down here, they've got a bunch of different stuff, but the coding challenge of the day is right here. And they do a little different thing every day. And today's is called decimal to binary. So they've got a problem they're putting out here, and we have to try to figure out how to solve it. Now I can see I was already working on this. So I'm going to reset the lesson, and this is what you'll normally see. Now, I was just trying to do a video a little bit a while ago this morning, trying to see if I could just do this right from scratch and figure it out on the go, and apparently I'm not that good at it. So, I'm just going to try this out again and walk you through it. So, given a non-negative integer, return its binary representation as a string. And they show us how to do it. And it says a binary number uses only the digits 0 and 1 to represent any number. To convert a decimal number to a binary, repeatedly divide the number by 2 and record the remainder. Repeat until the number is 0. Read the remainder's last recorded 2 first, in other words, in reverse order. For example, to convert a 12 to binary, 12 divided by 2 equals 6. The remainder is 0. You take the 6, which is the dividend, divide it by 2, and then you have a new dividend of 3 with a remainder of 0. And so on and so on until the dividend or the result of the division problem is 0. You take that, you go in reverse order 1, 1, 0, 0. So 12 in binary is 1, 1, 0, 0. They have some tests, so you can, in the middle pane, you can write some JavaScript or Python code if you want. I'm going to do JavaScript today. I'm a little more familiar with it. I may have to try some Python to help me learn that. So you put your code in here. This function, to binary, receives a decimal parameter and then returns that value. So right now it returns nothing. Well, it's going to return, not nothing, but it's going to return the value that passes in. So that's not the correct answer. And then down here are some tests. And they say when you call this function to binary, pass in 5, it should return 101. The 12 should return 1100, and so on and so on. And it's going to run these tests when you click on run the test, and the output goes over here on the right. And we'll tell you if you got it right or wrong. If you get it right, you get this big pop-up that says it's finished. You can do a reset or get help. I probably should have done that the first time I tried it. But in JavaScript, they have functions, and you pass in a parameter or a value. And in this case, it's going to return decimal. So if I were to type in console.log, and basically this just puts a value over on the other screen, and I put in the value decimal, and put my semicolon at the end, and if I run the test, it's telling us what it should return. The tests are completed. The console output is 5, so it is running the first one, number 5. And as I was saying, the parameter value is going to get returned. And that's what the console log does. Now, what we're wanting to do is we need to initialize a couple of variables. So we're going to have a binary string that we're going to return. So let's call this let binary string equal an empty string with just two single quotes, not a double quote. And we're going to say let the remainder, because we're going to calculate those. And let's initialize that to 0. And how I did this on my first one is I did a console log, because I wanted to see what these values are as we go along. And I'm going to put two single quotes, and inside I'm going to put a couple dashes to help do some separating, to help me understand. See, otherwise it gets lumped together, it's hard to read. Console.log, and we want to see, well, let's put the word decimal, and a space. Now we want a value, which is the one that got passed in. And I'm going to do another one of these console log dash things. I'm just going to copy it. Just Control C, Control V. Take the tab out. All right. Now, we have to do this thing, repeat until the value is 0. So when you're doing a repetition loop like that, in JavaScript, a while loop is actually really good to use. So it will do something while the value equals something. So while we want decimal, we're going to keep using the same number, is not equal to 0. We're going to repeat this until decimal equals 0, and then it will drop out and return the value. Now, we're not going to return a decimal, or the value came in. We want to return a binary string. This is what we actually want it to go. So we're going to build that as we go. And I'm looking at my other monitor here because I need to remember how I did this. So we're going to calculate the remainder. Remember, we had to do a division problem. So equals the decimal, which is the value that we're currently using. I can type it correctly. And a remainder function in JavaScript is a percent. We're going to divide it by 2. And whatever's left over is going to be the remainder. And it's going to ignore the actual dividend, or the result of the division. So because we want to watch this, we're going to also put in some other, well, I'll come back to that in a minute. But after we would calculate the remainder, we also need to subtract from the original number the result of that, so that we can start with a brand new number. So we're going to decimal equals, we want the decimal number minus the remainder. We're going to divide that again by 2. This will be our first division. And we need to subtract that so we get the brand new number. And then we're all setting that to decimal so that we're going to keep making the number smaller and smaller as we go. Now we have a binary string, which is what we're going to return. That is going to equal, so if we put in remainder like that and run this, let's see what we get. Now this is not correct, but we want to do, oh, we need some console logs so we can see what's going on. So let's put in the decimal, the current value of the decimal. Oops. We're going to concatenate the string. Do we want the value of decimal? And that's going to return something. Let's try that. So every time we go, we're going to have 5, 2, 1, and 0. So that's our loop. Let's get some more information so we can see what's going on. We want the remainder. Let's put a colon and a space just to make it look pretty. And remainder. Oops. So if I run it again, it's hard to tell, but the decimal for the first round is 2, the remainder is 1. The decimal for the second round is 1, the remainder is 0. And let's take this off because that's getting in the way. Let's put another one of these in here so we can kind of see everything split up really pretty. There we go. So we're going to start off at the very beginning. The decimal is 5. That's the parameter that passed in. After the first division, decimal is going to be 2, and the remainder, first remainder is 1. And then we do 1 and 0, 0 and 1. So if I were to run this, and then we were to return binary string, well, it's not looking right. Let's see what it looks like as we go. Console.log binary plus binary string. So we did something wrong because the first test isn't passing. The binary is 1, binary is 0, is 1. Oh, okay, so it's getting reset. So right here, we're just getting the remainder. So we actually need to add that onto the binary string. So if we were to do binary string plus the remainder, because that will take the value that it currently has and then add that number on the end, we have 1, 0, 1, 1 0, and 1 0, 1. Now if you notice, over here on the left, the first and the fourth tests pass. It's returning 1 0 1, and this one is 1 1 0 0 0 1 1. But these are wrong. So the problem with that is we're doing it in the wrong order. Remember they said we had to reverse the string? So there's an easier way to do that. We could actually just have the binary string equal the remainder plus the binary string. And what that does is put it on the front of the string instead of at the end, which is in the wrong order. The other way to do that is we can do a reverse string. There's a trick to doing that, and I can show you that in a minute. But I think while we're building this as we go, this might be easier. And so we run this, and it is working. All the tests are passing. We can submit and go to the next challenge if you're wanting to do some more. I'm not going to for today. You can download it. Let's close it for now and just take a look at the tests. They all pass. Now, if you notice on the console, it's only doing the first one, and then it runs them. So it's not going to, it only runs the first test and puts it in the console log. Now, normally we wouldn't want to put all this stuff in here for a real application because you're going to have this information going out to the log in the browser. It's going to be just kind of messy and there's extra data going on that you don't need to see. So after you're done debugging, you can remove and delete all these. So also we need to do some cleanup and want to make it look nice. See, it still works. However, this probably wasn't the most efficient way to do this. And let's go figure out something different. I'm going to open up ChatGPT. And you notice I've got a bunch of stuff here. I have a login. All right, so we're doing this. And so I'm just going to copy this right here. So I would say in JavaScript, because that's the language we're using. Oops. I have the following code challenge. And we paste it in. Doing a shift enter. I'm going to put a couple lines extra there. I'm going to take this and copy that with a control C. My answer is that. What are some changes I can make to improve this? All right, let's try this. Because your solution is solid, you're definitely applying the repeated division remainder method and building the binary string. There's some ways to clean it up and modernize it. Handle 0 explicitly. Right now, if decimal equals 0, your function will return an empty string instead of 0. So we could try if decimal equals 0, return 0. All right, let's try that. We can put that right at the beginning because we want this to go right out. Let's test it. Okay, still works. Avoid extra variable for remainder. You don't need to store the remainder since it's only used once. Good point. So binary string equals decimal %2 plus binary string decimal equals math.floor decimal divided by 2. We didn't talk about that, but if you noticed, we were doing something that we had to do decimal minus remainder right here. Well, that's because the remainder isn't always an integer. Well, I mean, it is an integer, but if I were to not subtract it, then the new decimal would not be an integer. So what we needed to do here, so instead of doing this whole string concatenation thing, there we go, and putting this in the front, you can just put it right here. And this is just the actual math problem. And the decimal math.floor, that actually rounds down a decimal number to the nearest integer below it. So like a 3.5 would become a 3, a 3.9 would also be a 3. And then we want to do decimal divided by 2, then math.floor, and then lower it down. Let's try it out. Let's delete those. Is this still going to work? It does work. Cool, check that out. Same exact answer. Use math.floor instead of decimal. That makes the intent clear. Integer division by 2. Remove the debug console log or make them optional, so we can definitely do that. Make it more concise with recursion. Okay, this is a little bit different. Function to binary decimal. If decimal is equal to 0, return 0. If decimal is equal to 1, return 1. Return to binary, and so it's going to actually call itself and loop its way through. So instead of using a while loop, you can use recursion. It's a little bit more advanced. Leverage built-in conversion for real-world usage. If the challenge allows, JavaScript has this built in, decimal to string 2. So this is a coding challenge. We wanted to do it correctly, but let's try it out for fun. So if we take this, get rid of all this, I'm commenting all this out. That might be a faster way to do this. If we just stick this right here, well, actually, if I return it, I could have done that without commenting all that out. Okay, let's run it. It works. I'm assuming decimal to string 2 probably tells it to do something about binary. We'll have to, oh yeah, because that's the value. So refined version, so let binary equals empty, while decimal is larger than 0. Do it like this, return binary string. There are also, like I said, building a string in reverse and calling split reverse join is a possibility instead of doing it the other way, but I think I prefer this. So anyway, I'm not suggesting you use ChatGPT for everything, but it's fun to check it and see what it does. It doesn't always work, but here we go. This is our ugly code. You know, decimal equals 0, return 0, or return decimal. I bet we don't even need this. You can just do it like that, and it'll probably work. So far it is. So this would be a one-liner answer to this versus going through the process of doing some math. So in a production, yeah, this would be the best way. But a coding challenge is fun to kind of figure out how to do it, piece by piece, logically. So that's how the daily coding challenge works. It is pretty fun to play with. I did a couple the other day and thought I'd do a quick YouTube video about this. So here you go. Well, thank you for watching. Let's see.